Hello guys, sorry about the delay on this. I wanted to talk about it because we've been talking a lot about it since all these trailers have been coming out for the final episode of Gotham. This aired last night. However, I did not watch it until today, since yesterday my night was mostly consumed by Endgame and recovering from Endgame. So sorry about that, guys, but I did want to talk to you guys about this final episode. We had some concerns since we knew this was going to be just a normal length single episode. It wasn't going to be a two-parter. It was a 10-year time skip, and the trailers were kind of showing us that a lot was going to be happening in this, and not a whole lot. It doesn't look like there's as much different threads as you would think. They did tie it all together into one neat little thread. But I'm going to say that this final episode definitely makes me want more. I want to see more than what we saw. With this being the end of the series, there's talks that there might be a spinoff for Catwoman, with this new actress, Lily Simmons, but I don't know how that will play out, because man, okay, let's just start with the beginning. So yeah, here, real quick, if you haven't seen the episode, I'm going to go ahead and give you a spoiler warning. So if you have not watched the final episode of Gotham, tune out now, come back when you have. We start off with where Bruce arrives after the end of last episode in a foreign land. It doesn't really say where, but we can assume it's in the, somewhere in Asia, to which it's typically where he goes to train, Tibet, that region. And then we just jump 10 years later. Gordon teases us with a mustache and trying to retire. There's news of a growling voice abusing people down in the downtowns of Gotham, beating up criminals and whatnot. And with the news of Penguin being released from Blackgate after the 10 years, apparently 6 months after the reunification, they locked him up, which is kind of giving Penguin a little bit of a grudge because of where they had all worked together to save Gotham in the first place. So he's a little irritated with Gordon and the police force and all that. Cut over to see that Barbara has been leading her own cleaned up life, building a skyscraper of her own. Doesn't really go into what she does now, except that she's bought up land and become a tycoon, was about the extent of the explanation that we get from Harvey. And we meet little Barbara Lee, who will later grow up to be Batgirl, who I thought looked really familiar, and I was correct. It was the little girl from the remake for Pet Sematary. I am not going to attempt to say her name. I don't know how to say her first name at all. But that's the same girl that plays Ellie in the new 2019 Pet Sematary is Barbara Gordon in this. We pan over, we find out Ed's been incarcerated in Arkham after the reunification. He sees in a headline that Oswald's being freed and gets a little upset. He freaks out. One of the random inmates is painting on a comatose Jeremiah in a chair. Ed goes over and is like, "Oh, he's a legend. You don't treat him like that. Treat him like this." And stabs him with a scalpel. Jeremiah doesn't respond, just sitting there drooling or whatever. And then there's an alarm at Arkham, and we see someone wheel out Jeremiah, and Ed's freed. He's got a bag thrown over his head, and he's let go. And he wakes up with a note and some explosives. The note shows that it's signed from Oswald, telling him that they have a plan to take these bombs and we're going to blow up Wayne Enterprise Tower at the gala or whatever, because they're opening a new Wayne Tower has been built in the place of the old one that was destroyed. Ed's playing up that, oh yeah, Oz and I are going to, he's out, we're going to rule this city again. He's got something planned, so he's giving me these bombs. So he just doesn't question it, goes right along with it like, you know, he would if it was from Oswald. Penguin finally gets free. His almost immediate action is to kidnap Jim Gordon, take him to the docks, and threaten to kill him for betraying him and locking him up despite everything they did for the city and all of that. And that's when Jim realizes that Oswald's not behind the breakout or Ed or the bombs. And because when he mentions it, Oswald is like, what are you even talking about? I just want to kill you. And so Jim knows that and just jumps right off the pier, dives away and runs. Oswald missing his shots. And speaking of Oswald, why is he wearing the monocle on the eye that's fake? He's wearing a monocle over the glass eye that doesn't serve a purpose except maybe to distract people from the glass eye. I assumed in the trailer the monocle would go on his the real eye to help improve his vision, since he only has the one. So I don't understand why his monocle is over the fake eye. Also, I like how after the grenade to the face, he's got no scarring and that he just needed a glass eye, and that whole area of his eye is perfect. Whatever. It's a nitpick. I'll ignore that. He has fluffed up a little bit closer to the Penguin we know in the comics, but that's about it. Gordon investigates some of the recent activity revolving some gang members being killed. He goes to visit a warehouse where some bombs were stored and finds a bunch of bodies. Swoop, swoop, we get some whoosh sounds and a grisly voice from the shadows telling him, I'm not your enemy, as we see in the trailer. And he warns them not to touch the bodies, and they later find out that the bodies were wired. So they kind of like, yeah, we trust this guy. Who knows? We convene at the gala for Wayne Enterprises, and we learn that the Riddler has captured the mayor again, strapped a bomb to him like he did all the way back in the early days. As he says, it's a callback. But the real bombs were actually set under the model of the new city. As you could probably piece together by now, Jeremiah and his gang have been the ones that have been pulling the strings, manipulating Ed and Oz to kind of frame them as like the scapegoats for what he's got planned for this bombing and the Wayne Enterprises and stuff like that. And when that falls through, he shows up at Barbara's club where Barbara was taking little Barbara. There's two Barbaras, because she's like, with all the stuff going on, she goes back to her old club to get one of her old guns to arm herself to protect her daughter. And she finds Echo there along with awoken Jeremiah in full-on Joker garb. Him and Echo both pin Barbara. Little Barbara sneaks out and chucks something at Joker, which distracts him enough for Barbara to get a stab in on Echo, which in true Joker fashion, when she was like, I'm not feeling good, boss. He's like, oh, that's too bad. And just finishes her off. He's like, there's other fish in the sea, which means, we'll sets up for an open application for his later Harley Quinn, which we'll probably find later, as we can assume. But he takes little Barbara and leaves behind Barbara Keene to deliver a message to Jim Gordon to tell him that to meet me where the place where I was reborn, which of course means Ace Chemicals. So we cut over to Ace Chemicals and we see little Barbara hanging over the vat while Jeremiah is holding on to the rope. Gordon confronts him and he's like, Jeremiah, put her down, blah, blah, blah. He's like, Jeremiah? Where do you see a Jeremiah? So he's automatically like seeing himself as someone else. He starts listing off a bunch of different J names. He starts off with Jack, which is a callback to Jack Nicholson's Joker from the '89 Batman. From there, we get some more whooshes and some batarangs fly into action. Batman, as much of Batman as we see in the trailer, that is pretty much the most of Batman we see. Every moment you can catch a glimpse of his cape or his shoulder in the trailer, or even when the one scene where you see him jump across the rooftop, that is 90% of the times Batman is on screen. But with two batarangs, he takes out Jeremiah, Gordon saves his daughter, and they lock up Jeremiah. That's the end of that whole plot. And it wraps up. We know that Ed and Oz are still on the loose. And that's it. That's the end of the episode, essentially. We flash over from that to the top of the GCPD with Gordon talking to Harvey about how this random shadowy figures saved him from Jeremiah and helped them out, and was like, can we trust him? I think we can. Alfred shows up, talks about how Bruce has been busy, apologizes for not being there to unveil the spotlight on top of the GCPD. But they look up, and on the top of the neighboring building, we get to see a slow zoom up to a figure at the top, and then we see this full suit of the bat suit for this Batman that we will never see. That's it. That is the only time we get to see a clear shot of Batman. You know, Selina's character in this too, because I forgot to mention, he meets up with her or whatever. He has a little moment with her on a roof where he's like, you put that diamond back. I'm sorry I left you, but it had to be done. There's no other way. Where do we go from here? I don't know. But you put that diamond back, and then he disappears. This really should have been 2 episodes or an extended episode. This was way too short to be a proper finale. I don't feel any finality to this. I don't feel like this was the end of the show. I don't feel like this was the ending. Like, nothing about this called out as the end of an era, an end of an arc. It, as the title of the show says, it's called The Beginning. This episode is called The Beginning. And of course it's meaning because it's the beginning of Batman, the beginning of this great age of Gotham after this point. But the episode itself just leaves so much to be desired. And if nothing else is coming from this, if there's not going to be another season, maybe there'll be a spinoff they haven't announced, but I don't know how that'll be since Fox was bought by Disney. I don't know what plans they have going forward with this show or these spinoffs. I'm not sure the legalities that go on involved with that, with the licensing. It's just a really weird place to leave off on. And as good as this last season really got, I just really wanted more from this episode. I'm so sad that this is all we get to see of it. We didn't get to see any fighting. We didn't get to see Batman or Bruce show off any of the skills he learned aside from being sneaky, having a bat costume, and throwing a couple of batarangs. That's it. He throws a smoke bomb and jumps out of a window, but you see that in the trailer as well. It's just disappointing. I really was hoping it would be a much bigger deal than it was. The best part of this episode is Jeremiah and his Joker and that little story. It's just, it goes by so fast and it's just gone and over. It's really cool. It's really awesome how he's been listening in all these years, faking his vegetable status, that he's actually been aware. And like when people were prodding him and when Ed stabbed him and he didn't respond and he was just standing there drooling, that he was actually awake. He was fully conscious and manipulating all these things in the background while still being stabbed and not moving. And like his pain tolerance, like it's clear. This is the Joker. He has evolved. He has reached that state finally, but we don't get enough of it. It should have been dedicated purely to Jeremiah and Bruce's return. I know this whole show is built on and predicated with Oswald and Barbara and the Riddler and all of them, but I really think this should have like set up the journey, the future of the relationship between Jeremiah and Batman, because that's the two characters that we've been waiting for this entire time. The whole baiting of who's going to be the Joker, what's the big reveal going to be, when are we going to get the full-on evolved what we know Joker, and when will Bruce evolve and become the Batman, and how will that play out? That's kind of the series was kind of circling around those two ideas, building up Bruce Wayne and building up to the reveal of the Joker. And we get both of those in this, and it doesn't feel like we got enough. It doesn't feel like we got a Batman. It feels like we got a Joker, but we got maybe 3 minutes total of screen time with the Joker. I don't know. It's just really disappointing. I really wanted a lot more from this last episode. Maybe it's just me. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. I don't really have a whole lot to add to here at this point. It's just really disappointing. I don't think we will, but I would like to see more of this continued somehow. I don't know what's going to happen with the future of this series. Like I said, there's talk about a spinoff for Catwoman. There's the Epix Pennyworth spinoff that actually, I don't think that's a spinoff. I think that's just its own thing. I'm not sure what that is. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought about this episode down in the comments below. I'd really like to know what you all thought. I really wanted more about this last episode, for this to be the send-off of the series. I really wanted a little bit more. Let me know down in the comments how you guys feel. We'll talk about it a little bit more with together down there in those threads. And for now, just like, comment, subscribe, check out my other videos if you like. I got my spoiler-free review for Endgame up, and we'll see what comes out here in the future. Thank you for stopping in, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take care.